Welcome back. Thanks to Jim Beam. It's half-time of the grand final of 2015 and Hawthorn have got one hand on the cup. Well, I reckon it's just about two hands. They're almost doing a victory lap at the moment. 31 points. The Hawks did get out to a lead of 43 points at the 12 and three-quarter minute mark of the second term, and a couple of late goals for the first time for the day. The Eagles able to kick back-to-back goals. They kicked the first goal of the game, the Eagles, at the 2-minute mark. It was some 40-odd minutes later when they got their second, and in between time, well, the Hawks were able to slam on some 9 goals consecutively to get control of this game. Dermot Brereton has worn the brown and gold 5 times on Premiership Glory Day. Derm, you must be feeling pretty content. Your boy Cyril's killing them. It's all happening for you, mate. I don't know what else I can give you.
There's a lot of time left. That's why, if you could run down the clock through the break, that'd be good. You know what people who love their clubs and footballers are like. If there's time enough for the opposition to get the win, you're still nervous.
Lee Matthews used to say, if there's minutes left and goals to be kicked, that's the way you measure it. So there's still plenty of time, Jonathan Brown, but it would take a miracle. We know, we've seen 1970. Oh, I don't want to bring that up, but we know that happened. 42 points, 44 points of difference at half-time. Carlton able to get over the top of the Pies on a hot day, not unlike today.
Well, that's right. They're close enough, aren't they? That's 31 points, so that's the big unknown. Hawthorn obviously coming off of Perth travel last week, but they were awesome. You're looking for West Coast to settle early. You thought they may have with Shuey kick an early goal, but their pressure around the contest, in the trenches, all their big guns were getting touches. West Coast were winning the clearances, but they were scrappy, sloppy. Hawthorn were allowed to set up and get their precision kicking going. It's been a real clinic in the first half, hasn't it, Roo?
Looks like experience against youth, doesn't it? They've been fumbling West Coast and once again not taking their opportunities in front of goal. I think they were 1-5 there for a while, so you just got to kick your goals.
Yeah. It's been amazing to watch Hawthorn. They have been methodical, almost to the point of arrogance, it looks like, but they just hold and hold and hold and refuse to kick that in the wind, that kick that'll go up and allow West Coast to run it out. They've been prepared to just hold it to the very last second.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that is really noticeable with this game is that Hawthorn haven't kicked a goal coming out of their defensive back end for about 2 months. They've kicked 3 goals directly from kick-ins. So the Eagles are allowing them through. Now, the Eagles defend Domain Stadium so well. It's so squished in. But out here, it's too wide for
20
them.
metres wider, isn't it?
It's having a real effect.
Boys, I'll tell you what is having an effect too, this swirly wind. It's not getting any easier in there. It's not any easier out here either. But let's go into the MCG now. Cam Mooney and Brad Johnson on the MCG. Boys, it's swirly conditions, but wow, what a day it is in the MCG.
Oh, Ed, it's absolutely brilliant in here. I'll tell you what, Hawthorn are tough in the contest. Apart from the Wellingham hit here with West Coast in the first quarter right in front of us here, other than that, it's been total Hawthorn with their dominance around the ball and their ability to run and spread. Their use of the wings at the moment through the logos with Isaac Smith and Brad Hill has been absolutely dominant. You've mentioned Cyril already.
Well, don't underestimate, Jono, just how swirly it is here. We see Derby's hair flying everywhere. It's happening here as well. It's going everywhere. But the fact that Hawthorn, their kicking ability has been absolutely brilliant today. They haven't missed targets. You look at West Coast on the other hand, their kicking efficiency is still pretty high, but they've missed the most important ones. When they get that ball over the centre line, they've missed those targets going inside 50. That's been the biggest one for them. And obviously, you know, you're just missing easy goals as well. We talked about efficiency at the start of the day. Here it is.
Conversion was the key at the start of the day, Ed. We spoke about that, and it is very tricky in here for Hawthorn to be 9 goals 3 to West Coast 3 goals 8. It's just a huge advantage that they've taken in this first half.
Absolutely, boys. Yes, it's been a situation where, as we said, there was 12 scoring shots to 11. Hawthorn in front by 1 scoring shot, but the margin is 31 points at half-time. Let's go to the lab now, and Jared Healy and David King. Boys, so what have you made of that first half of football?
Well, I think it's about leadership. I think when you look at the Hawks, if Hodge, Mitchell and Burgoyne are in their best players, they're always in games, Jared, and they've separated this game, let's be honest. I mean, Burgoyne's physicality is fantastic, Mitchell's vision, he's had 17 possessions, Mitchell, and they all hurt you. Every one of his have gone through the scoreboard, and Hodge is setting the standard again. They've failed the test, the West Coast Eagles, in their leadership stakes.
It's all about crime and punishment for mine. Everybody makes crimes in footy, making mistakes, but it's been the Hawks that have been the great punishers. They've kicked goals 5-0 to 1-5 in the first quarter.
Absolutely, Jared. Right on the money. We know this. It's the greatest truism in football. You've got to be able to kick it. And when the opportunities have come up today, Hawthorn have been magnificent. Natanui had one ripping one touched on the line. Hodge kicks it and it goes through. That's the difference at the moment. 9-3-57 Hawthorn lead. West Coast 3-8-26. The Hawks have kicked 2 out of bounds on the full. West Coast have kicked 1 out of bounds on the full. But as you can see, the forward time, it's 50-50 disposals, though. Hawthorn have got the ball, and Dermot, they just will not give it up.
No, uncontested possession there, Ed. You've called it 145 to 101. Time in forward half. Disposals there at 222. A massive sway to the Hawks, and there it is, plus 44 for uncontested disposals.
All right, you want to watch Dermot's hair really stand on end? Get ready for this, because it's the Cyril show. What about Cyril Rioli in this opening half of football?
Oh, it's incredible, isn't he, Brownie? He doesn't have a natural matchup.
No, he doesn't. That was going to be a problem for West Coast. Got a lot of medium defenders, don't have a lot of good small defenders. So Cyril's able to expose that. The Webb, Jared's Webb got exposed a bit. They had too many guys up the field, the West Coast defenders, a lot of Hawthorn forwards over the back. They would have been rubbing their hands together, especially Cyril.
Well, the problem with the Webb when you don't stand a man is if you leave Cyril on your own and the side's good enough to hit your targets, he's going to have a field day, isn't he? And
but you look at that one, Roo. You see the 2 players in the lower part of shot. I mean, Hill's run past them to get to a goal side. So, as Kingy said...
Did they see him or did he just
well, I don't know. Well, as Kingy said, they failed the test on that occasion, especially because you've got to have your wits about you. You've got to have the radar going.
They mightn't have seen him, but Cyril did, and he turned his back on the play just
and he
to
still
buy
saw
a little bit of time, and he knew exactly where he was going to be.
You know what, Ed? He's that good, Cyril. I reckon he could hear his footsteps creeping around. We're
not going to have 6 months of this, are we? Hey, we mentioned earlier that Nick Natanui had a chance to kick an absolute team lift that was touched on the line. It was a beautiful kick, but then Luke Hodge did this. This was the one. If ever it was going to define the game, beautiful bit of play here. Held his ground, held his man. Look, he's held on to his opponent there going through there in Schofield. And then the kick was just magnificent. I was sitting inside the ground, Dermot, right behind that. That wasn't a fluke. He lined it up and hit it, and he knew as soon as it left his boot that it was going through.
There was another kick like that, slightly to the inside of the boot from that exact spot, and that team won that day too, and that was Nick Malcheski, and that was in 2012. So same pocket, roughly same time of the game too.
That defines Luke Hodge. Big moments. He always senses a moment. He had one idea in his head, and that was go and kick that goal, even though it was a really difficult one. And that's what the great leaders do, don't they? Yep. You can be the best in team meetings, you can be a great bloke and all those sorts of things, but leaders lead by example, number one, and the rest will follow.
That's why he's won 2 Norm Smiths and might win a 3rd if he has a big second half.
You never know. Ryan Schoenmakers is one of the great stories today. He got a huge ovation from the Hawthorn crowd when he did some nice work in the forward pocket in that second term. But there are a whole group of potential immortals, Dermot. You've got 5, so these guys are junior burgers next to you, of course, mate. But these blokes are looking for 4. Luke Hodge, Sam Mitchell, Jared Ruffhead, Cyril Rioli, Jordan Lewis, Grant Birchall could all finish the day with 4 premiership medallions. You look at them; they're all pretty young men too. I mean, Mitch is he's hit 30, but the rest of them have still got a bit of football left in them. They're
Cyril's
going
the youngest, Ed, and I'd be willing to let Cyril creep up to 5 eventually.
They won one before their time, Ed. 2008, unexpected. They did play finals the year before, but they got there against the hot favourite in Geelong, won one before their time. That's why they're able to go on a long run, and they're well and truly in their prime now, aren't they? Still those players.
I think Burgoyne gets 4 as well, with 1 at Port Adelaide and 1 less at Hawthorn. So he's been a good pickup.
He's been a good pickup. I think he's been value for money. He's an absolute ripper, Sean Burgoyne.
Just as you go to break too, might I add, just to balance it out, it could be one of the great comeback victories of all time if the other guys do it.
Yep. As Groucho Marx once said, if you can fake sincerity, you've got it made. You've got it made, dude. It's the Hawks by 31 points. Back after this for Jim Beam. Welcome back. Thanks to Jim Beam. We're ready to go. Just the minutes away now from the second half of the grand final of 2015. Derm, for me and boys, the key moments. Natanui's first centre break, magnificent. A point on the board within 15 seconds. Shuey's handball to Cripps that didn't come, that left an open goal opportunity, wasted. Natanui touched on the line. Hodges' goal goes through. Second quarter, Hearns misses from 35 metres out.
That's a heartbreaker.
Bang down the other end. Rioli to Gunston goal. Then Rioli's run down, Gunston goal. Margin out to 37 points. They got out to 40-something points, 43 points at one stage, the Hawks, and they've got a 31-point lead at half-time. Let's go to the lab. That's the abridged version. The boys are now going to extrapolate for us. Kingy and Gerard Healy.
That's a good rep, Ed. We might knock off from there, I reckon. That'll do us. I think you're spot on, though. When you look at the score sources, look at how they're scoring their goals. And this has been the poorest defensive performance for the West Coast Eagles for the year, for mine, Gerard. They've allowed them to go coast to coast, and they've done it easy. They've done it on turnover. Look at the score sources there. They've kicked 3 goals from kick-ins. That's unheard of. You normally average about a goal against per game. 3 goals is smashing.
Well, I think they've got their stoppage game going okay. They're winning that only marginally. Dominated in the first quarter, then the Hawks came back. But defence, that whole defence, the web, the forward press, it's just been obliterated to this point. But the one hope for the West Coast Eagles is in that last 15 or so minutes, the lead boots went out and they started to get the runners back on. So there was some signs of generating some sort of semblance of their good form.
It's desperate to find a winner out there, though, for the West Coast at the moment. Defensive half scoring, the ability for Hawthorn to go coast to coast has been a real concern. Not only have the West Coast forwards failed offensively, they haven't put anywhere near the amount of pressure on the Hawk transition as what they normally do, and you can see it there. The season average is 33 points, is what the Eagles concede on counterpunch or transition. Now they're back half. At half-time, it's 32 points. It's been far too easy.
It's been magnificent play by Lake and Burgoyne. They've been fantastic across there. Frawley's just done a tagging job. They haven't really been exposed in any way at this stage, Hawthorn. They'd be sitting there pretty comfortable at half-time, knowing that the next 15 minutes, if they can just maintain this lead, then they've probably got their historical third premiership.
And you look at the forward pressure of the Hawks. It was 2v6 at one stage there, and we'll show that in the post-match. And Sherman has fought a good fight, and Bruce fought a good fight, and they were able to scrounge a goal. Just have a look at the couple of players in particular, and we can't put the whole back 6 up, but we put up Brian Lake and just say he's the general down there. Frawley's come along for the ride as well, and Burgoyne's the one that's made the physical statements down there, Gerard, and they look so settled. 26 midfield turnovers, they've been able to win the ball back countless times. The Hawks.
There's a lot of statements, a lot of big moments. Burgoyne's mark, running back with the flight of the ball in that first quarter, was magnificent, and he's gone on to be a high possession winner. I think we had it at 15, and he'd be one of the few challenges Cyril's got for the Norm Smith.
Just saw the voting sheet of Dee Brereton, Ed. It's got Cirioli already in the 3-vote section.
3-2-1.
But he had that at 4 o'clock this morning, I reckon, when he woke up for the third time in excitement. Hey, boys, let's go inside the ground. And Cam Mooney and Brad Johnson. Boys, my only question to you is, how does Kennedy and Darling kick 5 goals in the second half to have any chance for this team to win?
Well, what they need to do is engage Lake, and I agree with Kingy in terms of that, because what's happening is Lacra's going up to the stoppage. So what happens? Lake's got his 10 seconds just to sit back, general everyone up, get the right matchups, and away they go. They need Lacra to come back, 6v6, make them accountable more. When the ball hits the deck, there may be a chance that way, Ed.
Well, for me, Frawley right now, I think he's been outstanding. We spoke about this guy coming into the finals. There's a lot of question marks over him, Jono. He didn't have a very good qualifying final, but since then I think he's been outstanding. And his one-on-one work today to keep Kennedy to only 3 possessions and a couple of marks, I think has been absolutely brilliant. But how are they going to get goals, Jono? Well, they need to start moving the ball a little quicker. And when they get that ball from halfway, start hitting some targets. We sat down here and we talked about the conditions. We've been sitting down here, we talk about how hard it is to hit those targets, but Hawthorn are doing it. West Coast Border Centre cannot hit a target.
Well, Ed, the ground's clear here, second half, not too far away. Looking forward to it. Hopefully West Coast can make a little bit of a comeback.
Good on you, Jono. Thanks very much. Cam Mooney inside the ground. Boys, how do they find 9 goals in the second half? They have to do that minimum West Coast to win.
Well, they can't fumble. They've got to move the ball quick and they're going to hit their targets. If they do that, they're half a chance.
Yeah, Lacra needs to lift. He's struggled when he goes forward. Gerard's been all over him. They need to hit those targets. But it's very simple, isn't it, Derm? Hit those targets inside 50. And they've been the worst kicking side in the comp the last month, West Coast. They need to improve.
Yeah, they have to. They have to get Lacra when he pushes up into the midfielders. We almost
Derm, let's go to the break before we get blown away. We'll be back after this for the second half of the grand final.
We're not in Kansas.
You're watching Grand Final Day on Fox, half-time, brought to you by Jim Beam.
These are the natural phenomena. Forget about Uluru. Watch the changing shape of Dermot's hair through the course of the day. Well, look at Jason's blew off. And have a look at Dan there. Oh, well, it's all happening,
classic.
boys. Who wins how far?
Gee, they could smash them, the Hawks, or I'll go for a little comeback by West Coast and Hawthorn by 12.
I'll stick the Hawks by 20 in my pre-game, and hopefully Geordie Lewis can just get above Sammy Mitchell and Hodgie.
I think they come back pretty hard there, because Hawthorn by 6, same as 89.
I said before the game, if Hawthorn led by 3 goals at quarter time, they'd win by more than 10. So I'm going to stick with that. And I think they will go on and
Good little tip.
put them to the sword. So let's see how we go. Got the first part right, so we get the second part right. Anyway, it's going to be a beauty, boys. Just at half time, quickly, who's Norm Smith at the moment?
I'll stick with Hodgie.
Lewis.
I'm
You
not
can't
allowed
say
to
no, you're voting. I was going to say, geez, you nearly set the betting into a frenzy there, Dan. Don't say anything. Where's Kingy? We're going to go to the second half now, and I tell you what, Cyril would be in front by a mile, I reckon. Back after the game. Post-game is going to be a beauty. Everything that happens in this game is going to be analysed right after the match on the home of footy, Fox Footy.